Dad, more diesel! It was just only like a 4-hour delay. Well, thanks for clicking your way back to the good old Southern IA here this morning. The windshield wiper's on. It just misted here for a second. I don't know if it actually rained. I'm gonna go check my rain gauge. But because if we're gonna be doing any type of... I'm trying to shoot an intro. We're gonna be doing any type of field work here today, I will be in the 8630 with the big Kunze repowered Cummins in it, which means that the air conditioning probably still won't be working unless I get some Freon put into it, which is actually high on my priority list. But in lieu of that, the floor of that cab actually radiates a lot of heat, so I don't want him just laying on that. Plus, he's a toad, so there's really not going to be that much room for both of us in that small cab. So today, he gets to hang out with Wayne and take naps all day, which he's probably not going to complain about. According to that rain gauge, there's mist in there. It's going to be windy today, which is always awesome for us YouTube farmers. The weather stick seems undecisive, which doesn't change our plans here. We're going to do what we can do, because that's all we can do. But the first thing I can do is I'm gonna eat my breakfast here. Molly's still on her kick of cooking homemade bread. She's getting better at it. This one's light and fluffy here. I got peanut butter and honey on it. Nice glass of milk. Probably gonna make a mess of myself already, but I gotta try and somehow convince her to get on a kick of baking cookies. She's just not a cookie baker, and yet that's my favorite thing. Maybe she will after I've said this. Note to the editor. Tell the editor, bake cookies. Well, that's not good. Dad, more diesel! Well, that one's missing. Up there. Good? That ain't good. Put jumpers on it too. What we're working on now is charging the air conditioning. If you notice, I'm wearing my dad's sweatshirt. It's chilly outside and extremely windy, but this big Cummins here, it will just absolutely cook in this cab. I mean, I was sweating last night. What we have is just one of those like clamp-on inductor style coolant deal thingies or whatever that you put onto the low pressure side of your AC compressor, and it kind of charges it up. This tractor notoriously needs to be charged about every single year. A lot of them really do pretty darn good and just hold their own air compressor or coolant level. This 8630 here, however, does not, and we don't use it that much, so we haven't fixed the air compressor or the coolant leak. It's just do this when you need the air conditioning. But as we sit here and kind of idle and wait for this air conditioning to charge up here, what a great time for you guys to hit that like button, and for me to remind you, once we get a video to reach 2,000 likes, I'll be giving away one of my Van Roekel Family Farm Services hats right here. And then also, once we reach 25,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away another one too. We're hooked up. We've got power on the Integra, power on the Raven controlling the bar. I'm gonna purge my bar real quick, which means that there's gonna be smoke coming out of here. I'm gonna lower my rate though, that way I don't try and pull out a whole bunch. Boom. Bar's purged. The smell of anhydrous in the morning, which is actually stuff you don't want to smell. This is, in terms of like a chemical or things like that, probably the most dangerous thing that we deal with. Obviously, we're in danger being around this big heavy equipment all the time. But in terms of like, if it leaks out, it can get you real quick, because it's an inhalation hazard. And if I'm correct on this, anhydrous means without water, and so this stuff is attracted to water, which means that like the moisture in your eyes, in your lungs and stuff like that, it just will freeze burn you. It will burn you. It can kill and will kill and has killed. But doing that right there, it obviously dilutes so fast. Like the solution to pollution is dilution. I didn't do that with anybody around me or anything like that. I could purge it with the bar in the ground, but last year, I'll talk about this in a different video, had an issue with one of the knives, or two of the knives, completely plugged, and so it wasn't pulling on anhydrous, or I don't know that they were completely plugged, but they weren't applying the right rate of anhydrous. Therefore, we had some nasty, very yellow strips through our field that had a serious yield effect. So if I do it that way, that gives me the chance to take a quick gander real fast to make sure that there's smoke coming out of all of the bars, and it gives me a little more peace of mind, because we don't want to have last year's application issue happen again this year. Pull up my driving map here this morning. There we go. So what I touched on a little bit yesterday, we got the egg liter compass in here right now. This was in the 9400. I did rip it out of the 9400 to put it in here. It's not controlling anything as in terms of the anhydrous. It's being controlled by this Raven box right there. What I'm using this for is the very basic mapping and steering. Does pretty good with that, except for I am not steering right now. If I get a chance, I will put the steering in here, but I'm not going to stop us from pulling anhydrous to put the steering in here. We'll just be doing it the big old bus driver way. Just as I went to drop down and start pulling on the smoke, I noticed that the egg leader thought that I was driving backwards. It kind of does that every now and then. If you like start it up when the last thing you did was back up, it just does that. It's really simple to fix. As long as you aren't mapping with this down here, you just click on it. It's got this arrow with the turnaround on it. Flips you around. Now you think you're going the right way. Click on it again. Make sure you're right where you want to be. Good to go. You guys ever watch Larson's videos and notice that he writes things on the window right there? I wonder what he uses to write on the window. That'd be nice to know, because then I could keep track of the acres that I do, and I can know when the next tank's supposed to come out. We are about getting stuck here, boys. We are about to get stuck. Come on, come on, come on, come on. That way I can keep track of when the next tank's about to go out, acre-wise, versus kind of trying to mentally remember, and then I mentally always forget. Chad, if you watch these videos, what do you use? I'm actually running into a little bit of an issue here, which this is a pretty decent part of this field, is that once I move into tighter soils, I can't get the trench where we're injecting the anhydrous into the ground to be sealing up. And it's got, which we'll go look at here in a second, closers behind it that don't seem like they're doing a whole lot to close it. And when you don't close it, you can see little wisps of smoke working its way back up out of the trench, and that means you're losing the fertilizer that you're putting into the ground. So I've been moving out of those locations as much as possible, trying to find a good spot until we can get a hold of the people that own this bar, which is a service company, and see what they have to say and see what we can do to make the closers a little bit more aggressive, so that we just aren't doing this for fun. Looky there, another tiny house. That one's got a waterfront view. Boys, let me tell you what, this here is what they call a sealing scent detecting cap. As in, if it's not sealing, you can smell and detect it in the cap. And for those who don't know what anhydrous ammonia smells like, which is a very large portion of the public, ammonia, it literally is, it smells like ammonia, and it takes your breath away. Like, it just whoop, takes your breath away. That is what anhydrous ammonia smells like. It's bad. And I guess when I'm saying that, that's probably going to spur people's reaction on, like, why are you even using it then? It's safe if you respect it, as in, you got to respect it, so you can apply it safely. Otherwise, people wouldn't be applying it. It's a great form of nitrogen, which is relatively stable in terms of other forms of nitrogen. And the last factor is actually the cost per unit of nitrogen. In our area, anhydrous ammonia is the cheapest that you can buy commercially per unit of nitrogen. So it comes into the whole, we're trying to make money while we grow crops. So you got to watch your budget, especially now. Like, things are just going from bad to worse here with this whole COVID-19 thing going on. The economy, farm economy just keeps crashing. And with the economy tightening down on agriculture, producers really need to start to watch their cost of production per bushel. They are looking for ways to cut cost chemically, fertility-wise. You know, producers will cut their fertilizer program, which I completely am against. We won't go into that. I'm a big golden goose guy when it comes to land. You have to be mindful of your cost of production and your return on an input. And nitrogen has to go into the ground for your corn crop, or you're not going to grow a corn crop. So you have to have a form of nitrogen or some supply of nitrogen. There's multiple ways that you can apply nitrogen. For us, in our area, our cheapest cost per unit of nitrogen is anhydrous ammonia, and that's why we're using it here. I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to stay upwind of these knives, of how this system injects into the ground. Comes from the tanks. I hope it's not too windy on you guys. It comes through the tanks, through the carrier. This is what they continue to supply us with, that has the fertilizer in it. It goes through a cooler, through a rate controller, comes out, gets distributed down into the knives right here. So it comes through this black hole, which cuts down in there, and it jets out into the soil. In front of that here is a coulter. The coulter just cuts the ground, and that basically makes it like a zipper, so that knife isn't doing all the work. It just makes the knife go through the ground a little bit easier. And here's what I'm having trouble with right now. These are supposed to spin, kind of dig into the dirt, create these ridges, which you can kind of see right here, which is supposed to seal up the anhydrous. So my tanks just ran out of product, or they're just about out of product. And how I know that, or I knew it was getting close by the acre count that we were talking about earlier, just keeping track of what the acres on each tanks are. They're usually pretty uniform, and we're pretty much right on the money within an acre or so. Time to head all the way back up to the front, which I'm all the way at the back again to change out the tanks. developments happened here today, guys. So this blue bar behind us, basically last year it had an application issue where it didn't apply the anhydrous evenly across the field. Cost us a bunch of money because that's the last thing you want to do is have an uneven application of nitrogen across your field. When we bought our smoke this year, we were told we were going to get a different bar. We obviously did not get a different bar. They said they worked on this bar and it was good to go, and it's not good to go. It's just, this bar's worn out. It needs just rebuilt or something. But so we're gonna rip it off, take it off. I've already unhooked the tank, pulled the coolers empty, so there's no anhydrous in the bar. Got to take the monitor out of this tractor. I'm going to, because I got to put a different Raven in there. Then we're going to hook it to my dually, drag it 30 miles basically to hook onto a different bar, get a different monitor, drag it back here so that I can hook it back up and keep pulling. This bar never should have made it to our farm again.
Everybody needs an Andrew and a jack that works. Am I going with you?
Well, we just switched out the bars. We went from the blue bar to a case red bar. It looks like it's a newer bar. It looks heavier built, but we went from 17 knife down to 15 knife. Ooh, so the 8630 is not going to have any issue pulling this one, assumably. However, we also went from a dual cooler to a single cooler, so speed might be coming in an issue at different rates. We'll have to figure that out. Don't know anything there. Got the new Raven, but this girl is pretty darn wide, as the other one was too. You just about got to get your eyeballs to go like that so you can see both sides of it getting dragged down the road. Having fun dodging a lot of cars, mailboxes, and everything else in between. But it took us about an hour or better to get here. It's going to take us an hour or better to get back. We're going to have to get hooked up, and we'll probably have to turn the lights on to pull anything. We'll keep with you.
I got good news for all you guys that bleed red and see red and like all that angry equipment. Look at that. Case IH red. What do you know? We'll see if this thing can stand up to a green tractor or not. I don't think that hole's supposed to be there.
Alright, I think I made it to all problems solved. Fingers crossed. No, it was just only like a 4-hour delay.
And by the way, for any farmers watching, while I'm out here recording, I'm staying upwind of the bar. Oh, he turned the lights on and 3 of them work. Ben running this tractor for some reason reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. You can decide who's Beauty and who's Beast.
Well guys, I just got to hook up to the tank, the plumbing part of this, but I do have to give away a sticker here in this video, and then tomorrow morning I will give away another sticker. That'll get me on track of giving away the stickers in the morning versus the late at night. But this one comes from where my grandpa's video there. This one comes from Part-Time Farmer. He says, "It is always nice to hear how someone left their mark on this earth. One of the greatest and proud moments is when you think of how much you learn from older folks. That's definitely a blessing. Carry on the greatness." So thank you very much for the great comments, and again, thank you for everybody that commented on that video. I am going to ask you guys a question. If you are NH3 pullers, if you guys do like anhydrous ammonias, I want to get some people's opinion here. How long do you guys wait to work your ground after you pull on anhydrous? I got a feeling that the answers are going to vary in between the amount of moisture in the dirt, maybe how deep you pull it and stuff like that. And also, I kind of got a wild hair that this bar actually pulls pretty darn nice, that I might actually try and plant kind of in a strip till fashion over the top of maybe some of these strips here, harrow down the bumps out of it or something along those lines. How long do you guys think it would take to be safe to actually plant over the top of an anhydrous strip without causing any root burn or anything like that? Let me know if you have any insight on that stuff. My curiosity's kind of spiked. But anyways, guys, I'm supposed to ask you guys what you guys think about maybe doing a live stream or something like that one of these nights with Molly and I. Let us know if that's something you might be interested in, and maybe we can make it happen. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us down here in southern Iowa. Very happy that we made the decision to change to this bar. The other bar was a piece of scrap iron. So, see you guys tomorrow. Day 1 on planet Mars. No life sighted. Do I look like an astronaut?